Terence Crawford continues to go after Tank regarding the controversy that unfolded in Brooklyn. The boxing world was left in shock as Davis faced his former amateur rival Lamont Roach in a lightweight world title clash. While Davis was the overwhelming favorite, the fight did not go as planned, leaving fans and fighters questioning the final result. However, Roach has now revealed that during their verbal exchanges in the ring, Tank made a prediction that carried much more significance than just words. Let's take a closer look.
Some points in that fight, but I believe we won that fight. Clearly, we should be two-time world champion.
Davis found himself in serious trouble in the 9th round when he unexpectedly dropped to a knee. It was a clear moment that should have been ruled a knockdown, but incredibly, the referee failed to score it as one. This decision played a crucial role in the fight's outcome, as the bout was ultimately ruled a draw. Had the knockdown been correctly counted, Roach would have received a 10-8 round, which could have been enough for him to secure a stunning victory. The aftermath was chaotic. Boxing fans and fighters erupted in outrage. Leading the charge was none other than Terence Crawford. The pound-for-pound king wasted no...
Yeah, that was bullshit. It should have been called a knockdown. You can't take a break like that. The only person that can do that is the referee. The referee can stop the action and say, hey...
Crawford first posted that Roach had won and that the knockdown should have been called. Let's see what happens, he wrote. But when the final verdict of a draw was announced, his frustration boiled over even more. They robbed that boy, and it's crazy. I have never seen someone take a knee and not have it counted as a knockdown. Must have forgotten the rules tonight, Crawford wrote, but he wasn't done yet. To highlight the controversy, he referenced a past moment in boxing history. Some of y'all need to watch Floyd Mayweather versus Genaro Hernandez. Mayweather took a knee because he hurt his hand, and it was still called a knockdown, even though it wasn't from a punch. Not long after, Crawford expressed certainty that Tank knew exactly what he was doing. Pretty Boy thought he could mess around and still win. You can't fool the fans. That's why, even if they wanted to judge the fight in his favor, they had to call it a draw. But it's clear who won. The boy said Tank promised him mid-fight that he would lose, that they weren't going to give it to him. That should be looked at. How do you get rocked, wobble, and still be sure of a win? Crawford wasn't the only one speaking out. The entire boxing community is still buzzing about the controversial moment, with many believing Roach was unfairly denied victory. Despite the fortunate outcome, Davis retained his undefeated record and still holds the WBA lightweight world title. However, the controversy has cast a shadow over the result. Though there were early talks of a rematch, Davis has quickly shut them down, making it clear he has no interest in running it back with Roach. It was a tough night for him, and, while he escaped with his record intact, the criticism from fans and fellow fighters has been relentless.
Fight, taking the knee, and then being addressed in the corner with the towel, wiping away. Like, I've never known that to be in any rule book in any state or country.
The moment that sparked the controversy remains the biggest talking point of the fight. According to the official rules of boxing, if a fighter's knee touches the canvas, it should be counted as a knockdown. There is no gray area. However, in this case, the referee simply ignored it, and the decision had massive consequences. Roach was understandably furious after the fight, feeling robbed of a victory that could have changed his career forever. He firmly believed he had done enough to win, even without the knockdown, but knowing that
found out this guy is in front of me, he's taking it. I think it was too late. I thought it was disappointing.
After the fight, Roach openly expressed his disbelief over the situation. Honestly, I thought I should have won even without that being counted as a knockdown. Look, I ain't the ref, and really, if he had to wipe sweat out of his eye, he had to wipe sweat out of his eye. But the rules state that if you voluntarily take a knee, that's an automatic 8 count, he said. His words only reinforced what the boxing world was already thinking. According to the rule book, Davis's knee touching the ground should have resulted in an 8 count. Instead, he was
What's the biggest advantage that Keyshawn has going against
Tank?
Yeah, he's a great boxer. He sounds a great boxer, and he got power behind him. So I can see that fight just being an entertaining fight. He sounds an entertainer, like you said. Tank comes in there trying to knock you out. I can see that fight just being entertained and, doing later rounds.
Roach continued to reflect on his performance, saying, "But it is what it is. I wasn't relying on that. I was relying on what I was doing in there. I was taking control. I think I was landing more shots, more power shots, and I thought I was doing my thing. So I'm not really that frustrated. But if that was counted as a knockdown, I'd have won a majority decision." His frustration was clear, and rightfully so. It's not every day that a fighter gets the opportunity to dethrone an undefeated star like Davis. For Roach, this was a once-in-a-lifetime.
What went through your mind when you heard the decision?
Nobody like a draw, from a guy that get knockouts and things like that, but it's cool. I feel like if we fight again, I could do more.
As for Davis, he tried to explain what happened, claiming that he had grease in his eyes, which forced him to take a knee. However, this explanation did little to calm the storm, as fans and fighters alike weren't buying it. Many pointed out that the reason didn't matter. What mattered was that his knee touched the canvas, and the referee should have counted it. This controversy has now placed Davis under heavy scrutiny. His undefeated record remains intact, but at what cost? Many fans have started to question whether he truly deserved to walk.
Or your future?
Yeah, it definitely changed my plans. It definitely changed my plans. I probably got like 4 more fights now, for sure.
Fans are also in complete agreement with Crawford, fuming over the fact that Davis was spared from what should have been a clear knockdown in the 9th round. "Robbed in broad daylight, man, with cameras in every corner," one user commented. Another added, "It should be a knockdown. Roach won that." A third fan put it bluntly, "Damn, all the sports getting rigged. SMH." Even a Davis supporter admitted, "Yeah, I'm a huge Tank fan, but I can't defend this. I've never seen something like this before. Wild." Another disappointed fan concluded, "Such a shame. They robbed an underdog." One person even asked, "Is taking a knee allowed now?" While another simply wrote, "Rigged." According to DAZN and boxing reporter Chris Mannix, Davis could have even been disqualified for taking a timeout to get his face wiped by his corner. After texting 3 veteran boxing referees, Mannix revealed on X that all of them agreed. The knee should have been called a knockdown. One even pointed out that Tank could have been disqualified for receiving assistance from his corner. After the fight, Davis attempted to clarify the situation. The draw, his first blemish in 31 fights, left many questions unanswered. He explained that he simply wanted to wipe his face due to a burning sensation caused by a hair product running into his eyes. "I didn't want to get caught while my eyes were burning," Davis stressed. "And you can't get knocked out like that, so I'd rather take a knee. But I didn't really know you could get disqualified for all that. When the ref started counting, I was like, what the hell?" As the fight progressed, Roach Jr.'s chances of becoming the first man to defeat Davis seemed to increase. However, Davis appeared to know exactly how things would play out if the fight went to the judges. Throughout the bout, the two exchanged words, but in the latter rounds, Davis made a chilling prediction. "When we were talking in the 12th round, I think it was the 12th or 11th, we were just talking about stuff, right?" Roach Jr. recalled. But then he
were really jawing back and forth at each other. What were you guys saying to each other? It felt like more than any of your other fights. It was a lot of jawing in the ring.
Just trash talking a little bit. You know what I mean? We didn't get too crazy, but
as frustrating as it is for a fighter to give their all and still end up on the wrong side of a decision, Roach Jr. remained composed, acknowledging that this is just how boxing works sometimes. "I'm not totally upset. I figured, with a superstar, you won't get too much on paper. But I was sure I had it," Roach Jr. admitted. especially when they announced the score for him. I was like, oh, they're going to give me a split decision. I thought, yeah, here it comes. But as soon as I heard 114, I was just like, damn. Roach Jr.'s disappointment is even harder to ignore when considering how the 9th round played out.
But were you surprised, because I know everybody else was, that Roach could take your power because you were throwing bombs in some of those rounds?
Yeah, it was cool.
And then there was what Davis said to Roach Jr. during the fight. If Tank knew Roach wasn't going to get the decision, what does that really mean? Fighters talk trash, but this wasn't just the usual back and forth. Tank wasn't saying he was winning. He was saying Roach wasn't going to get the decision. He sounded like a man who already knew how the night would end. Did Davis sense that something...
I didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to get caught while my eyes was burning. And you know, like, you can get knocked out like that. So I'd rather take the knee than, you know. But I didn't really know that you can, like, get disqualified for all that. Or, like, when you start counting, I'm like, what the hell?
It's not the first time people have questioned a controversial call in a fight. But this one felt different. A close fight is one thing, but a clear knockdown not being counted. A superstar fighter taking a knee in the middle of a round and getting his face wiped while the referee stands there. A fighter outright telling his opponent he wasn't going to win, and then, sure enough, he doesn't win. That's why fans are upset. That's why Crawford spoke out.
I thought I should have won a competitive fight. I think I did what I needed to do necessary to bank the rounds, and even without the knee, that should have been a knockdown. So, you know, I don't think there's any excuse for me not to win tonight, but that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Comes after Terence Crawford recently shared his thoughts on who he believes will finally put a dent in Tank Davis's undefeated record. The pound for pound. Great has been around long enough to understand how boxing politics work. But when it comes to actual fights, he's confident that Tank won't walk away unscathed if he steps in the ring with Keyshawn Davis or Shakur Stevenson.
Who were you gonna call out? What was the plan originally?
I think he was here.
Tank gonna do him.
He came in my locker room.
Shakur Stevenson?
He wasn't in my locker room.
Great call.
Next question.
For years, Tank has carefully navigated his career, taking fights that guarantee him a highlight reel, knockout while sidestepping the real dangers in the division. Crawford, who has built his legacy by taking on the best and winning in dominant fashion, sees right through it. He laid it out in plain terms. Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis have the mental toughness, IQ, and skill set to break Tank down, not just for a few rounds, but for an entire fight. That's the difference. Fighters like Ryan Garcia, Rolando, Raleigh Romero, and Hector Luis.
I don't want to fight one of them. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who I fight at this point. I don't care. But I'm telling you, if you give me either or before they rematch, I'm fucking their rematch up. They getting put. I'm telling you, I ain't even playing. I ain't playing, bro. I'm young. I'm on fire. I'm young and I'm on fire.